Ready to play as the Herald of the Arcane himself? Here's everything you need to know to dominate every boss in Path of Champions with Viktor. Viktor is a mid-range control champion who thrives on building up power throughout the match. He's got a strong mid-lane presence, especially once he starts generating and buffing augment units, and he's flexible, able to adapt between offense and defense depending on what you need. However, he's vulnerable to early aggro and wide boards. He also struggles if your opponent uses hard removals and denies your scaling. And of course, Viktor's whole playstyle relies heavily on his hex score upgrades, so you need to set those up efficiently. Viktor's Constellations give you access to generating augment units and buffing them. The key is that he needs time to evolve, building a solid board. At the right time, those augments get massive buffs, turning your little units into huge threats. However, Viktor truly shines at Constellation 6 with Power Surge. This gives you a massive advantage by copying created units and spells, helping you develop your board and scale up faster. For bonus stars, you'd want to prioritize Star of Bounty and Star of Discovery to make the most of Viktor's hex score upgrade and having additional augment units in your deck. Viktor's core relic build is perfect hex score, big guns, and Arcane Comet. This setup will help you control the board while your units are scaling. If you don't have them yet, Portal Pals and Luden's Tempest are good alternatives. For newer players, the Grand General's Counter Plan, Chameleon's Necklace, and Z-Drive Prototype are some great options since they are obtained easily and will help you clear those early adventures. With Viktor, you need to look for powers that help you get through the early game or enhancing your spell usage. Powers like Beagle Dust Stash, Wild Inspiration, and Gearing Up are great options. If you don't find those, don't hesitate to pick defensive powers like Hold It or Hold Them Off if you come across them. These are generally great powers for surviving the early game. Viktor works best with champions who create cards and help you survive the early game. Zoe, for instance, is a fantastic pick as she generates low-cost control spells and units to block. Heimerdinger is another good choice who can generate a lot of value through his turrets. And finally, Aphelios with his extra utility, who will give you access to stuns, lifesteal, and low-cost blockers. When adjusting Viktor's starting deck, focus on cutting out cards that don't add enough value to your game plan. Drop cards like Fort Chief and Clump of Worms. Instead, invest in upgrading iterative improvements and Aftershock to help you develop your board faster and provide more efficient removals. Viktor's game plan revolves around surviving the early game and scaling into an unstoppable late game. Focus on keeping your units alive and building your board slowly. Early on, prioritize playing created cards over regular ones, as they will buff your units and give you the best value. Remove big units with Arcane Comet or Aftershock, and smaller ones with Viktor's Death Rays. If you make it to the late game, your augment units will start to ramp up and Viktor will snowball into a true powerhouse. Timing is key. Survive, scale, and then use your buffed units to finish off the game. Viktor is one of the most rewarding champions in Legends of Runeterra. Once you get the hang of his setup, he's a blast to play. There's something incredibly satisfying about watching him scale and wipe out the board with powerful units. If you love control decks and late game power, Viktor is your champion. Hope you're ready to dominate that ASOL adventure waiting for you. Drop a like if you enjoyed the guide and feel free to ask me anything about lore in the comments. Also, let me know what champion you'd like to see next. Catch you later.